Good evening, and happy Tuesday, everyone. It's December 10th, 2024, and I was lucky enough to get the busy Travis Flaherty down in Arizona to jump on a live stream with us to Rethink Healthcare. But first of all, Travis, how are you doing? How is the family? I think you guys just took an awesome snowboarding, skiing trip to Utah. So, my man, good to see you over the holidays.
It's good to see you as well. Yeah, it's first time that all the Olders, were at their other family's home this year. You know, when you get married, you kind of start playing that game. It's a little
Yep.
different, and so we looked at each other the day before Thanksgiving and said, I mean, we're used to having a huge house full, and
Right.
it was just kind of an off year, and so we looked at each other and said, let's go somewhere. And we got online. We bought tickets at about 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and we packed up that night, and we were literally on the road and had a nice Starbucks Thanksgiving lunch because that was the only thing open up in Utah. But we went up into the mountains, and man, we had just an incredible time up in the snow. It was beautiful.
No, it looked like a blast. So always, always great to be able to have that freedom and, that time freedom to be able to kind of just make those, spontaneous decisions to have an awesome family vacation. So I love it.
Well, and I do have to say this, Mike. It made losing to Michigan for the fourth time in a row, and I'm just going to get it out of the way now. I'm going to pull the Band-Aid off. It made it that much better because you texted me when I think I was on top of a mountain somewhere,
Yeah.
and we were watching on YouTube TV, and we'd go down the hill and pull it up again. And I just was like, about 3/4 of the way through, I said, I'm just glad I'm skiing right now, and I don't
Right.
have to sit home and be depressed about this. So congratulations on another Michigan win, my friend.
Thank you. Out of sight, out of mind. That was probably best for you that day. I mean, I felt bad for Ryan Day. I
I did.
mean, but hey, you guys are in the playoffs. You're still alive. So, anything can happen. Last time this happened, you guys went to the national championship game and lost at the last second on a field goal. So you're still
We'll see
playing
where we
on.
end up. We'll see where we end up, brother.
So tonight, guys, we want to give you a different view, right? To look at healthcare a different way. And Travis, luckily, I found a video that explains how the U.S. health insurance system works now. So it's just a short video. So we will let this man explain how everything works. So you guys at home will be informed in like less than 90 seconds.
Thank you for calling Big Health Insurance Company Incorporated. How can I help you today? Hi, I'm just trying to figure out why you guys didn't pay for my hospital bill. Oh, well, it appears you have not met your deductible yet. But I pay $300 a month for health insurance. Oh, that's your insurance premium. Well, then what do I get for my premium? You get the opportunity to pay your deductible. Okay, so once I pay my deductible, then you'll pay for all my health care? Yes, sir. Except your co-insurance. Oh, yeah, I have to pay that every time I go see the doctor. Oh, no, that's your copay. I'm talking about your co-insurance. Well, what's co-insurance? That's the percentage of every medical bill that you have to pay. Even after I've met my deductible? Yes, sir. And even though I pay my premiums every month? Yes, sir. Is there ever a point when the health insurance I pay for pays for my health care? Well, you do have an out-of-pocket maximum, which is the most money you'd have to pay in a calendar year. Oh, well, that's good. You just have to make sure all the hospitals you go to and the doctors you see are in-network. What? Why? Because any out-of-network charges don't apply to your insurance plan. Well, how do I know what's in-network and what's out-of-network? Oh, we try to make that information as difficult to find as possible. Well, that's just great. Is there anything else I can help you with? Oh, yeah, I noticed you added a $50 service charge on my bill. What is that for? Oh, that's a charge for you calling us today. Wait, how did you know I would call you? Well, we anticipate none of this making sense to people and bill you accordingly.
Oh my gosh, that I saw that today, and that's a real doctor who literally just makes YouTube videos making fun of the healthcare system and the insurance industry. So Travis, I mean, you've had a lot more experience with this, a lot more kids. I mean, that video is hilarious, but sadly, that's the truth we are in America. So, your take on the state of U.S. health insurance right now.
Healthcare in the United States is absolutely broken. You think about it, and that video really summarizes things. I family of 6 children, and for health insurance for my family, even after a couple of them had moved out and moved on and gotten married, was still right around $30,000 a year. So I want to put this into perspective: $30,000 a year. And now let me give you a little experience that we had. So my daughter breaks her arm. So what do? We have to obviously go to the hospital, rush down to the emergency room and go through that whole process. And then I realized that even though I'm spending $30,000 a year, I have a $5,000 deductible that has to be met. So that $5,000 deductible has to be met before the insurance kicks in. So what am I paying insurance for? And by the way, that $5,000 deductible, that's just on Savannah. So if I meet that with Savannah, it doesn't mean that I've met my deductible for the year for any of my other children. So it's per person. So you think about this, and that's where truly for me, that was kind of like the aha moment where we sat down, we looked back and said, okay, let's just look at the last few years. What have we spent in healthcare costs? What have we spent in insurance? We were approaching $100,000 over the period of a 3-year period. And I looked at the amount of insurance that I was really using, and I wasn't using a major part of my insurance. Mike, I think that we've been programmed to, pay these large amounts of money for what if scenarios, right? Scenarios that 85 to 97% of the people will never experience. But yet, if you do, you got to have this insurance. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you have $5,000 or $10,000 sitting in your bank account? Because the reality is, if you don't, even if you have insurance, you're still SOL. So we said, there's got to be another approach. Let me give you some other scenarios. So 66% of bankruptcies in the United States are attributed to medical costs. And here's an even more staggering number. Out of the 66%, 80% of them are actually covered by health insurance. That should tell you and that's a new statistic that we just learned this last week. And so when you think about all of these things, now healthcare has become the second largest leading cost for a household in the United States. And it didn't used to be that way. So we definitely have some serious problems, obviously. Rest in peace to the United Healthcare CEO. I definitely, feel bad for the gentleman and for his family. The United Healthcare group reported over $215 billion in profits. And when you look at the salaries, and then here's another issue. And again, I can't help but wonder if it leads to certain circumstances like this. And once again, being very clear, nothing justifies the heinous act of what happened to this individual, and my prayers go out to his family. But when you look at the fact that 1/3 of all claims are denied from people that are covered, these are people that have serious, cancer to this. So not only are you paying all this money, Michael, but they're looking for opportunities to deny you at every possible turn. And so that's the state of the healthcare industry in the United States right now.
So I just have to wrap my head around this. So you have 6 kids. You were paying roughly around 30 grand a year for health insurance. So if each kid had like an event of a broken arm or had to go to the hospital, you could end up paying a $5,000 deductible for each kid, which would then be another $30,000 in the year. And you would have essentially received nothing.
I would essentially receive nothing. And here's what's happening is, it wasn't too long ago where our deductible was $1,000. But what happened was the premiums started climbing so much, and everybody across the board in our audience, if you've experienced this, let us know. But what's happening is people are being forced to raise that deductible to even afford their insurance, because otherwise it's just, you do something with a $500 or $1,000 deductible today, I would be spending over $30,000 a year. I'd be spending probably in the neighborhood of about $36,000 to $40,000 a year for my coverage.
Well, I don't think we have to do any more convincing. I think people know out there that the system is broken, and they probably just don't know that there's a better way and there's different options that you have. So tonight, guys, this just kind of happened. We have the grand premiere of a new 1-minute trailer for NuWay Health. This will be the first time it has been seen in public. So I'm excited about it. Really sums up how this program works, why it's better, and how it can help the average family out there. So we're going to have the world premiere right now. Here we go.
Every day, millions of us face a tough reality. We pay high premiums for health insurance we can barely afford, or worse, we go without it altogether. For those of us who are self-employed, freelancers, or working without insurance, the cost of care feels out of reach. It's a heartbreaking choice. Wait to see if the pain goes away, or risk a huge bill we can't afford. And sometimes, waiting too long can mean a health problem spiraling out of control. Imagine a better way, one where you never have to choose between your health and your wallet. Introducing NuWay, a revolutionary membership that puts your health first. For one affordable monthly fee, you get unlimited online doctor visits and unlimited access to prescriptions your doctor prescribes, all without the worry of surprise bills. With NuWay, you're in control. No expensive premiums, no hidden costs. Just simple, convenient care that works for you and your loved ones. Stop letting high costs keep you from the care you deserve. Join NuWay today and discover a healthier, worry-free future for you and your family.
I like it.
I do too. It's the first time I've seen that as well.
The point, it kind of gives me a little goosebumps of how bad it is out there for people and how, just the testimonies we've seen. I mean, I have joined NuWay. Travis and his family have joined NuWay. So Travis, what has your experience been? What have you kind of heard from some people about how they're benefiting from rethinking healthcare with NuWay?
Well, at first we thought, man, this is a great product, and it really is for individuals that want to rethink their approach to healthcare. Not everybody falls into that category. Some people just like the peace of mind of knowing that, hey, listen, if something terrible happens, catastrophic happens, I'm covered. And you know what? I totally understand that. I get it. At first I spent a lot of time trying to convince people that had insurance that, hey, let me show you how much money that you can save. And, while people had interest, I think in the end, people just felt that they enjoy that peace of mind. Most of them are usually employed. They have at least an employer that's contributing to their health care, which gets the cost down to, maybe in the $500 to $1,000 a month range, which makes it more affordable. Totally understand that. For me, I'm self-employed, and I'm a totally different situation. I don't have an employer that's contributing to my health care. And I'm also, and this is something that you and I are advocates about, is we teach people to put your money to work for you in income producing assets, right? In this new world economy that we live in, it's no longer enough to just try and save as much money as you can until one day that you retire. You have to combat things like inflation, rising costs of everything across the board. And so for me, I started thinking, okay, actually, you know what did it, Mike, was I started watching Bitcoin go up and Savannah's situation with her arm. And I thought, man, I wonder, and if I would have just put that $30,000 into Bitcoin back in 2020, when, we started kind of thinking about this, could you imagine where I'd be if I would have bought Bitcoin back then? So I started thinking about vehicles like Bitcoin and other income producing assets. And I thought, 30,000 a year going into that, and then the returns that's coming and the cash flow that's coming from that. If I need to, heaven forbid, go to the doctor and pay for a broken arm, I'm paying for it anyways. But if I needed to get an MRI, I needed to get a scan, cool, right? So that was kind of my thought process. But with NuWay, there is this demographic that I have connected with, that people are really excited. I'm not having to play the convincing game of, hey, this is a different approach. And these are people that don't have insurance. And I want to talk about that for a moment. There's about 40 million Americans in the United States that don't have insurance. I would imagine that many of those are self-employed gig workers, which we know is on the rise right now. So here's a scenario for you. And I've been there, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you live by the sword and you die by the sword. You have some of the best months that we're out celebrating and traveling. And then months later, we're over here eating top ramen going, okay, how do I get that back, right? We've all been there. So I have had situations where I get a sinus infection. I get chronic sinus infections a few times a year. And it's always the same thing. If I don't get on some type of an antibiotic, what's going to happen is it's going to turn into a postnasal drip that turns into strep throat, right? The strep throat tends to turn into bronchitis and sometimes even worse, walking pneumonia. And it all starts with just simple sinus infection. But I do this all the time. Sinus infection starts. What do? I don't, right now things are tight. I don't want to spend 150 bucks, 200 bucks to go to the doctor and then another 30 to $50 on the medication. I'm just going to give this a few more days. Well, in a few more days, guess what? Now I'm in my chest and now I'm starting to get into bronchitis. We neglect our health, especially when it comes to ourselves, but even worse, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but this is a real scenario. I remember a time where Summer had a kidney infection and she needed to go to the doctor. We didn't have the money. And it was, I don't remember the scenario. It could have been the holidays or whatever, but it was like one of those times where we needed every penny that we had. So what do I do? What do I do? Let me just go get you some pineapple juice and let's try that for a couple of days. Or even worse, what about your children where hey, maybe I need to take this child to the doctor, but you don't have the ability financially to be able to go to the doctor. 1/3 of all medications that are called into a pharmacy are not picked up because people can't afford them. That demographic, that to me is what NuWay Health is all about, because now for a very affordable price, everybody can have access to coverage. And you talk about people using the coverage. So I have a gentleman who comes, he's a handyman and he comes and works at my home. And he was just here this weekend doing some work and he was talking to me and he said, man, I've just been getting these really bad headaches. And I've said, have you gone to the doctor? Because I guess they're pretty frequent and increasing. And he says, yeah, I'm supposed to be taking this medication, but I can't afford it. And I said, well, how much is the medication? He says, I don't know, it's kind of expensive every time I go and they don't really have a generic brand or whatever the case is. And so I said, well, hang on a second. So he gave me the name of it. I went and looked. And of course, NuWay covered it. It covers 93% of all of the medications that are all. And so I went back to him and I said, do you have 99 bucks a month? He says, yeah. And I says, wouldn't that give you peace of mind? And we had that conversation. Boom, he's signing up. So the people that are using it are finding it to be very convenient. You don't have to leave your home. You don't have to go to the doctor's office. You don't have to worry about other sick people at the doctor's office and sitting there for an hour and a half before the doctor comes. And we've had a lot of really, really great testimonials that have come from our members that are using the coverage.
And correct me if I'm wrong, or is it an option? I think I've heard you talk about this. One strategy is you get something like NuWay, and then you have maybe a catastrophic plan that would cover you if something, really bad happens. And then you take the money that you were putting towards your insurance every month and essentially getting nothing back unless something bad happened into something that creates revenue. And if you guys aren't into crypto, it could be dividend paying stocks, it could be annuities, something more traditional. But to me, that makes a lot more sense than just essentially flushing your money down the toilet every month, paying your insurance premiums.
Yeah, I want to be, this is probably a good opportunity to throw out a disclaimer. NuWay is not insurance. It's a health membership first and foremost. It is not designed to replace your insurance. It's not the same type of thing whatsoever. Mike and I are not, insurance agents, and we're not here to give you advice about your insurance. But what I will tell you is that for me, and the approach that I wanted to take to my family after looking at the healthcare system as a whole, I felt like I could, for $1,800 a year, have access to the type of healthcare. I mean, these are thousands of doctors all across, board certified doctors across the United States that my family needed in the event that they get sick, that we needed to be able to get medication. And then in the event of something serious happening, there are different plans that are out there, major catastrophe plans. Aflac offers them. I use Family Heritage. And you can go and you can get some of these in place in the unlikely event that you're one of the 2% or so that something like these things happen. And I'm still in a situation where I'm saving over $26,000, $27,000 per year. But I make up that $3,000 I'm spending very easily by putting that $27,000 to work in income producing assets. So,
Right.
so that is one approach. Depending on your circumstances and your situation, everybody is different, but that approach works for my family.
No, I mean, that makes sense. I think it's just, again, people are scared to do something new, do something different. You know, they don't know about this, which is why we're doing this live right now. Um, and I wanted to share one testimony from our Facebook group. So if you guys are watching this tonight or later, you know, you probably have questions, you want to know more. So Travis has put together an awesome Facebook group that's linked below this video, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. It's free to join, and there's tons of information in there. If you have questions, you can ask. There's videos you can watch. But when I saw this, Travis, I just thought, how amazing is this? So Jen wrote, it took less than 4 hours to activate. You're not going to believe this. My daughter Kayla is away at college, which means if she gets sick or has issues, it's either an ER visit, urgent care, or drive all the way home, which is too long and super inconvenient. She rarely has an issue, but today she did and called me this morning distressed and asking what to do. I actually don't know what the actual protocol is with my health insurance, how much visits to the ER and or urgent care would be, which the video we watched earlier, Travis, that's all by design. You know, what's in network, what's out of network, what does this cost? Like, you have no clue. They just kind of make it up as they go. Whether or not the visits will be out of pocket since my daughter is out of the area, what is our deductible, our copays, a lot of confusion for me as a parent. And I just wanted to get my daughter seen, feeling better, and a prescription called in if needed. So I took the easiest route and probably the least expensive. I signed Kayla up for a NuWay individual membership this morning at 9 a.m. after she called me, and by noon, she already had access to her membership. There was literally less than 4 hours that she had to wait to schedule her time with the doctor. She didn't have to hassle with finding where she could be seen or how she was going to get there. She didn't have to spend the day waiting to be seen in a room full of people who were sick, possibly catching something during her wait time. She could have a visit with the doctor right from her dorm room, not have to be embarrassed out and about with their face looking a little crazy, and her prescription can be called to the drugstore within walking distance or shipped directly to her at school. I'm super impressed with the ease of setting her up and getting her seen. Dig into all the information in this group, especially up in the feature tab at the top of this Facebook page. For me, it was the perfect fit at just the right time. I'm a happy mama now that my girl is taken care of. So what a great story. And just to validate how this is really changing and helping people, you know, get the care that they need, no matter where they're at, whether it's in college or, you know, you're at home or any age group. So Travis, any other experience you had, or I think you said maybe this is kind of another niche you're seeing is people who have kids at college, that this is really working out for them well.
Yeah, you know, another gotcha within the insurance plans that people don't realize is let's say that you do have a child that lives out of state. In many cases, and I won't say all because different policies may be different, but they wouldn't be covered there. They wouldn't be covered out of network, out of state. They would need to come home before they would be able to be seen through a doctor. And so we have a lot of kids that are in college that the parents go and sign the kid up on NuWay. That way, you know, they're not there with their child, and they know their child in most cases is going to neglect their health because they don't want to go to the doctor. It's just inconvenient. Right. Maybe they don't have the funds or the money or whatever the case might be. And so this particular scenario, exactly, you know, within a matter of a couple of hours, she was seen, she had her medication that she needed, and it's a fantastic option and opportunity. So we are getting a lot of children that are away at college, and that is a perfect demographic. I wanted to share another story that somebody told me recently, and I've heard this story in different ways a few different times, but you know, I had somebody who is a mama of a couple of different children now. She has 3 children, and they're all babies. And one of them got really sick and needed to go to the doctor. And the last thing that she wanted to do was take the other babies to the doctors as well, because it's sick season, right? It's everybody's got colds, right. Everybody, you know, weather's changing. And so she said, you know, I have to think about that, and I don't have local family to be able to help me to drop the kids off. And so for me, I got to take 3 babies into the waiting room, into the doctor's office. She said, I got to tell you, it was so convenient for me to be able to call, be seen through the virtual care, through their doctor's network, and ultimately have the medication called in that she needed and not have to drag her babies to the healthcare. And so we're getting a lot of stories like that. The convenience of it. I do want to address something that has also come up quite a bit. I think it'd be a good topic of conversation is virtual care. I think that people, they hear that and they don't know what to think. Somebody recently said to me, it all sounds amazing. It almost sounds too good to be true. I do get that a lot with NuWay. But they said, I just wish it wasn't virtual. And, recently, one of my partners was at Banner Health. His wife was being seen, needed to be seen for something in person. And right there on the wall was a sign that he took a picture and sent me that said, 9 out of 10 things that you're being seen here for today, you can now be seen virtually.
Yep.
What people don't realize is post-COVID, nobody wanted to go to the doctor's office. Doctors realized this. So they had to reinvent. It used to be called teledoc, and they kind of got away from that and moved into what's called virtual health, because teledoc didn't necessarily, it wasn't very smooth. It didn't have you didn't have a huge network of doctors. Virtual care today is widely accepted, and you would be shocked at the things that you can be seen for. Now, yes, there are certain things that would require you. I mean, you might have an incident where you're cut and you've got to go to the urgent care, or you need to be seen. But I don't think people realize that virtual care is widely accepted today, and it is where medicine is going for a large percentage of what people have been seen for these days.
I think I've even heard somebody actually went to the doctor and they put them on like a virtual healthcare with another doctor who is a specialty, in these areas. So even sometimes when you go in person, they still might use virtual because of that doctor, not being in that hospital and being the specialist that knows, what you might need help with.
And
I just want to, let me
ahead.
double down on that, because I'm getting that from a lot of people too. This, again, is not insurance. Okay. So like if you get a broken arm, you can get on a virtual thing and ask, he can confirm it's broken to know that you need to go. So that's just that's what I usually struggled with is my kids were younger and they got hurt or they were sick. I didn't know, do I need to go to the ER? Should I go to urgent care? Or, then it took like months to get a doctor's appointment with them, of course. So if I would have had this back then, that would have been huge if I could have just gotten on, say, hey, how serious is this, right? Is it an ER thing? Is it an urgent care? And most of the time, because I didn't, I wanted to make sure my kids were okay, I would just go to the ER. And luckily I had, insurance when I was a teacher, but it would still end up costing me, where if I had some like NuWay back then, I could have done that, saved a lot of money and time probably as well.
You're absolutely right. I think that people constantly say to me, well, does it cover this? Does it cover this? Does it cover this? The interesting thing is nobody wants to pay the premiums that insurance for their insurance today, but then everybody wants the coverage that, the premiums, large premiums cost. And so this is going to be access to basic essential healthcare. So let me give you just different scenarios of where this might fit into the equation. So, you might have to manage chronic conditions can be done virtually with no problem. You might want to have remote patient monitoring or prescription refills, or potentially lower costs to in-person visits, more convenience when it comes to time, not having to go to the doctor, wait to see the doctor, and ultimately sit in a waiting room and wait to see the doctor. All of those type of things, whether it be a sore throat, whether it be, strep throat, whether it be, any of these type of things, these can all be seen inside of through a virtual care, and they can be seen very effectively. What you're not going to have is let's say that you needed an MRI. Well, for us, we just take the money, the massive amount of money that we're saving, and typically there's an in-cash price when you are going to the doctor for services like this,
Right.
where you can get a significant amount of money off because you're paying cash. Interestingly enough, I've had this conversation with doctors where I'm like, well, if you're offering that price for cash, why don't you charge that price for insurance? And they're like, we're not allowed legally. We're not
Yep.
allowed. We have to charge you more because you have insurance. Think about that. Think about
What?
that statement.
What world
That-
are we living in?
Seriously. So there are negotiated cash prices for those type of circumstances as well. And so, yeah, there are things that this is not going to cover. But again, this is not insurance. Again, I go back to that family that's neglecting their health because they just don't have access to medical care when they need it. They don't have access to medicine when they need it. There was another testimonial in our group of a gentleman who said, I can't believe it. Every single one of my heart medications is actually covered here, in this particular plan. So that's where it's really going to fill the gap. And someone could even
Right.
maybe call it gap insurance, if you will. But for me, it's going to cover 9 out of the 10 things that you need to go see the doctor for on a regular basis. Even specific conditional care. If you go to a primary care physician through NuWay's network of doctors, which, by the way, same doctors that are being used in United Healthcare, same group of doctors and other insurance policies. So this isn't NuWay doctors. This is the same network of doctors that you would gain access to through your traditional medical care. But let's say that you went to see your primary care physician virtually, and you needed to go see a condition-specific care specialist. Guess what? That's covered too. They can still see you virtually as well. Let's say that you
Right.
needed counseling. Guess what? We've got that covered for you. You have mental health is a major topic of conversation. Guess what? That's covered too, along with 92% of the most commonly prescribed medications on the market today.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys, the people that this is perfect for, if you are spending over $50 on prescriptions a month, this is a no-brainer. If you struggle or you don't have the funds or you don't have the insurance to go to a doctor, to see a doctor to get a prescription, this is for you. 93% or so of the prescriptions that people typically get are covered, absolutely no extra cost. You can get it at your favorite, Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens. You can have it mailed to you. Those are the people this is meant for. And again, like you said, most insurances do not cover mental health stuff, counseling, stuff like that. So to get anything like that, just someone to talk to, counseling, whatever it is that you need, to have that included with this is very unusual, because even when I had like the best insurance as a teacher, that wasn't covered.
Yeah, my daughter, when we were skiing, as a matter of fact, got sick up there in Utah, and it's we're in a new area, city. We're up in the mountains, and I want you to think of this scenario. I don't know where to go to the doctor. Like
Right.
you got to just get online or excuse me, look for the closest urgent care, whatever the case might be. Hopefully they're open or whatever. NuWay, sitting there in our hotel room, I go online and I can see the next available appointment, which was less than an hour away to be seen.
Wow.
Book the appointment, have a medication called in to the Walmart that's up there, and go and pick it up all within a matter of 2 hours in a different city. That's the type of
Oh, wow.
access. That's the type of access that you have. It just kind of led me to another thought, which is people that live outside of the city, maybe don't have, access to an urgent care that's right around the corner. I mean, certainly if they have to pick up medication, but you can even have it mailed to you if it's not something that's urgent. But it's just convenient, Mike. That's the thing that I like about it, the convenience of it. And again, there are a lot of scenarios where you might not go see a doctor because you just don't want to spend the money, but you probably, or maybe you're worried about something that's going on. This is the perfect plan for you. You have unlimited doctor's visits. Don't mean that you don't want to start booking appointments every day, but you can really make sure that you have peace of mind, that you have that access that your family needs.
Yeah, bro, that's a great story. You need to make a whole video just on that story, put like some stock photos, or I mean, you can put your real photos of your family in it. But I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. If you didn't have that, if you didn't have NuWay, you're on vacation in another state, you're probably having to go to a urgent care. That's God knows how far away from where you were.
That's right. And a lot of times urgent cares, I'm not knocking the medical service that's provided there by any means. But they've been referred to as doc in the box. A lot of times you see an RN, and sometimes you're not even necessarily seeing the doctor per se. And again, nothing against RNs either. I mean, I know that they've gone to school and they've worked very, very hard. But the quality of care and the doctors within our network, you'd be very, very impressed. So to me, I just love the convenience, the affordability, and I like being. We talk a lot about centralization, both you and I, and
Yeah.
decentralization. And if you want to talk about centralization, just look at healthcare. There are a handful of companies that are monopolizing this industry. It is a crooked business. They pay for the lobbyists, they pay for the lawmakers, they pay for the politicians to continue to vote a certain way so that these medicines can be fast tracked, so that these coverages continue. I mean, again, the amount of if you just go look at the top executives in the world of insurance, healthcare, and look at their income and their salaries, and tell me that we don't have a problem. So NuWay to me is decentralized healthcare. That's all it is. It's decentralized healthcare. It's providing an alternative to the broken healthcare system that we have in the United States.
No, that gets me even more excited. That anything decentralized, I'm all about. And you have to remember too, is when I was watching the comedian doctor, we played at the beginning, he has another one where it's two doctors talking, and the doctor's like, "So do you work for the insurance company?" He's like, "No, I don't work for the insurance company." He's like, "Well, who pays you?" "Well, the insurance company." Well, who decides how much they pay you?" "Well, the insurance company." Well, how do you get paid? He's like, "Well, I have to sign an agreement." He's like, "So you sign an agreement with the health insurance company, and the health insurance company decides if you get paid, and you don't get paid unless the health insurance company accepts it." So the best well-meaning doctors, they basically have to play the game. They really don't have any options. So as more and more people kind of opt out of the system, right? Take the red pill, if you will, we might get some reform. Like, I don't think the reform is going to come from Washington. Like, I think we can all agree on that.
Mhm.
The reform has to come from the people saying, no, there is a better way. Rather than giving money to these insurance companies and bureaucrats, we're going to keep it for our family and find other alternatives that are out there, which is why I love NuWay.
Yeah, for me, it just was another. I mean, I went down a deep dive. I went and looked at health savings plans. I looked at every possible scenario as an alternative. And we arrived at NuWay. And I thought, you know what? This puts me in the driver's seat. It allows me to be able to take control of my health, my financial future. I understand that there are some people that absolutely need health insurance. Again, this is not health insurance, but for me, this membership provided the access that I needed to be able to make sure that my family is taken care of for their essential needs, basic function, essential needs. And we've got the catastrophe plan in place. And now I'm buying a lot more income producing assets that are producing revenue, so that if, heaven forbid, knock on wood, one of my kids breaks an arm or breaks a leg, I have the cash flow to pay for it. Because to be honest with you, if you don't have $5,000 or $10,000 sitting in the bank right now, and you have insurance, you are functionally uninsured, or functionally insured. Because think about it, you have insurance, but you can't even afford to use your insurance. Think about that for a moment.
That's crazy. Oh, all right. I don't want to start thinking about this anymore. It gets me upset. So thank you for everyone that came on tonight. If you guys found some value on this, like it, drop any comments or questions you have. If you're watching a replay, one of us will get back and answer you. Facebook or YouTube or X, wherever you're watching this. The link to our Facebook group is in there with lots of videos, lots of information for any questions that you guys have. Send this to anyone who you think might need help. We got to get the word out here, guys. We got to change the way healthcare is done, rethink it, so that we can kind of help more people win in this life. Travis, man, thank you so
Indeed.
much for coming on. Appreciate you. Tell the family I said hi, and hopefully I'll get to be on a trip with you here soon, brother.
All right. Miss you, brother. You too. And happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays, Mike. Merry Christmas. And we will see you guys soon. Thanks for helping us spread the word about NuWay.